Hare Krishna, dear devotees, thank you for joining us. So we are sharing gems from Srimadbhagavatam, and today is a very important verse. Actually, all verses from Bhagavatam are very important, but there are always some that shine out, and this is one of those. Hare Krishna. So today we are covering this verse from Srimadbhagavatam, 5th chapter, 5th canto, and verse number 2. And these are the instructions by Lord Rishabdev to his sons. He had 100 sons, and the eldest one was Bharat Maharaj. So please join us in the invocation prayers. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udiriyet Shravatam Swakatha Krishna Punya Shavana Kirtanaha Hridayantastho Bhadrani Vidunoti Suhasatam Nashta Prayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagvat Sevaya Bhagavate Ruttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtaki. So we are covering Srimad Bhagavatam, 5th canto, chapter 5, verse 2. Mahasevam dwaram ahur vimuktes tamo dwaram yoshitam sangi sangam mahantaste samachittaha prashanta vimanyavaha surhida sadhvoye. Let me do it again. Mahat sevam dwaram ahur vimuktes tamo dwaram yoshitam sangi sangam mahantas te samachittaha prashanta vimanyavaha sruhidaya sadhavoye. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. One can attain the path of liberation from material bondage only by rendering service to highly advanced spiritual personalities. These personalities are impersonalists and devotees. Whether one wants to merge into the Lord's existence or wants to associate with the personality of Godhead, one should render service to the Mahatamas. For those who are not interested in such activities, who associate with people fond of women and sex, the path to hell is wide open. The Mahatmas are equipoised. They do not see any difference between one living entity and another. They are very peaceful and are fully engaged in devotional service. They are devoid of anger and they work for the benefit of everyone. They do not behave in any abominable way. Such people are known as Mahatmas. Purport: the human body is like a junction. One may either take the path of liberation or the path leading to a hellish condition. How one can take these paths is described herein. On the path of liberation, one associates with Mahatmas, and on the path of bondage, one associates with those attached to sense gratification and women. There are two types of Mahatmas, the impersonalist and the devotee. Although their ultimate goal is different, the process of emancipation is almost the same. Both want eternal happiness. One seeks happiness in impersonal Brahman, and the other seeks happiness in the association of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As described in the first verse, Brahma Sakhyam. Brahman means spiritual or eternal. Both the impersonalist and the devotee seek eternal blissful life. In any case, it is advised that one become perfect. In the verse of Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela 22.87. Asat Sangatyaga Ei Vaishnavachar Stri Sangi Ei Asadhu Krishna Bhakta Ar. To remain unattached to the modes of material nature, one should avoid associating with those who are asat, materialist. There are two kinds of materialist. One is attached to women and sense gratification, and the other is simply a non-devotee. On the positive side is association with Mahatmas, and on the negative side is the avoidance of non-devotees and women hunters. Hare Krishna, please join us for Guru Pranati and seeking blessings from Acharyas. I'll stop sharing.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. So, Prabhuji, before you will do the Guru Pranati now, and this is for a few participants are here who are not very familiar. So, very quickly, I wanted to just mention, Prabhuji just read the translation and purport from Canto 5, Chapter 5, verse number 2. Earlier, he recited the Srimadbhagavatam invocation prayers, which brings all auspiciousness and blessings from Vaishnavacharyas and the Supreme Lord. And now he is going to offer Guru Pranati, because we take empowerment in Guru Parampara to share this knowledge as it is, not deviating or introducing some whimsical speculations in the teachings. So, Prabhuji, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Devi. So this is a very important aspect as in this verse being identified. So let's continue with Guru Pranati and seeking blessings from the Acharyas. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshitarine Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langhayate Girim Yat Kripatadaham Vande Shri Gurum Dina Tarinam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. So today, we are covering this verse with an understanding that what is important in life, right? That we should be looking for Mahat Seva. But Mahat Seva can be performed two different ways. Vapu Seva and Vani Seva. So there is a tendency that people just want to focus on Vapu Seva. They generally have this, even Srila Prabhupada, when, he was on the, in Queens, at the temple, the Matchless Gift Store. Some Indians, they entered opened the door and said, we want to have your blessings. Srila Prabhupada pointed to the brahmacharis who were chanting and, finishing their rounds, that these are my blessings. And seeing that all these brahmacharis were like, shaven head and have given up all kind of belongings, the first reaction was those Indians, they just closed the door and left, not realizing that that was the best blessing they could have received. So there's a tendency, just seeking blessings. Oh, we are surrendered at your lotus feet. We are fallen at your lotus feet. Please bless us. This is the wrong way of taking blessings. My dear devotees, it's very important for us to understand that the mercy of the Lord flows through his devotees, and it generally flows in the form of instructions. So when we follow those instructions, this is where this aspect comes in. That devotees, Mahatmas in this case, they help us live a life of purity, because everyone in Vaikuntha is living a life of purity. And Srila Prabhupada, in the purport, he explained that there are two kinds of Mahatmas. One is the impersonalist and second is the devotee. Now, sometimes people may say, but impersonalist, how could they be Mahatmas? Well, impersonalists, they know that, Brahman Satya, Jagat Mithya. So they understand from that aspect. So they are above the dualities. Now, somebody could also say, but we understand Satchit Anand Vigraha. From Brahma Samhita, the invocation was Ishvaraha Paramaha Krishna Satchit Ananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govindaha Sarva Karana Karanam. So Sat feature is the impersonal feature, eternal. Chit, Sat and Chit together is supposed to be the feature of Paramatma. Paramatma has both of these features. And then Lord Krishna has Sat, Chit and Anand, the eternal bliss. So full of knowledge is the Chit aspect. Now, sometimes people have this tendency of grading things, right? They say, oh, Brahman is at the lowest and then comes Paramatma. No, actually, those are the characteristics, the qualities that are visible. Lord is always full. But from our perspective, we are seeing those qualities. And why are the yogis who are focusing on the Paramatma, who are meditating on Paramatma in the heart, not considered Mahatmas? Somebody can ask this question. Well, because yogis, when they're meditating on a heart, the Paramatma in the heart, the Supersoul in the heart, then their focus is to attain siddhis. So they are actually looking for siddhis in this material world so that they can travel from one planet to another, and using this siddhis, they can get various abilities. So they are not escaping the dualities of life. They are not coming to the absolute platform. They are still on the relative platform. So that's one of the reasons Srila Prabhupada does not list them as Mahatmas. And today, this particular talk, I'm going to present it in the form of SEVA, SEVA. As it stands for Serve the Mahatmas. This is the main instruction. Why? Because by serving the Mahatmas, the door of liberation become wide open, right? And how do we identify Mahatmas? Mahatmas are equipoise. So that's E. For equipoise of Mahatmas, their Samardarshana vision. That should inspire us to also embrace that vision and also embrace their qualities by following their instructions, by following their examples. Now we have to be very careful to be, Anusharan versus Anukaran. There are two ways to copy someone. Anusharan is taking his shelter of their instructions. If some senior has told us to do a thing specifically, if we don't understand, we should ask for clarifying questions, but we should follow those instructions. Continue to do what you were doing while expecting to get different result. It's a definition of insanity. That's what Einstein said, right? So we all understand, yes, we have to change the ways we are doing. And then when we are getting someone as a mentor, someone as a guide, someone as a coach, we should follow this, in our lives. So when we follow the Samardarshana aspect of a Mahatma, that they are seeing everyone with equal vision, then we have to understand how to see everyone with the equal vision, why to see everyone with an equal vision, and so forth, and how to enable our life to transform. So that is where we comes in. We is virtues of sadhu sangha. So our very characteristics, our very behavior is defined by the company we keep, right? So this is the glorification, the virtues of sadhu sangha. So their qualities are uplifting and purifying. So we should embrace sadhu sangha from that perspective. And A is to avoid tamodwara, right? The gate to the hellish life. So we should stay away from degraded association. Those who are interested in opposite sex, or those who are interested in keeping company of those who are interested in opposite sex. That's also very important. So here it is said, yes, Yoshitam, yet, while it means ladies, it does mean opposite sex, conceptually. So we have to understand from this perspective that what is going on. So here, Lord Rishabdev is giving universal guidance, right? Where he's identifying liberation versus degradation. He's giving both the perspective. Now we have received minute freedom. And Lord Rishabdev is an incarnation of Lord Krishna. So when he's giving, similarly, Lord Rishabdev is giving to his 100 sons. And those instructions are as important as we hear the instruction in Bhagavad Gita that Lord Krishna gave to Arjun. Arjun understood those instructions and carried out as per. Yet at the same time, Maya is very powerful. So we have to be very, very careful, right? Sometimes it's very interesting to see great personalities. Again, when they make mistakes, then we learn from their examples so that we don't commit mistakes. right? The first class student is one who learns from others' mistakes. Second class is one who learns from one's own mistake, could not understand others' mistake, but when it happens, so they learn the hard way. And third class students are those who never understand how to correct their mistakes. And so their life is in a very miserable state. From this, we can learn that we want to become the first class student. And here we see so many wonderful examples. Parikshit Maharaj is taking shelter of Shukdev Goswami, who is reciting the whole Srimad Bhagavatam for 7 days. And Parikshit Maharaj is destined to die, by a snake bite in 7 days. So he's fasting from all kind of things and focusing only on hearing Krishna Katha. Now, sometimes people have this tendency, Mahatmas means those who are seeing everyone in equal vision, yet at the same time, they are not affected by dualities. Even in today's times, sometimes, we think, we see someone in sannyasi dress and we think that such and such person is a Mahatma. But then it's very interesting. I'm reminded of so many instances in life that from the outer dress, they may look like sannyasi, but when it comes to the behavior, their behavior is not even close to what a sannyasi behavior is. Here, Parikshit Maharaj is hearing from Shukdev Goswami. Shukdev Goswami appears to be just 16-year-old boy, no clothes on his body. He's completely detached, avdhuta, not recognized as sadhu. But internally, he is a self-realized soul. And he's speaking to Parikshit Maharaj in the assembly of great sages who are sitting there. His father, Vyasdev, is there. Father's instructing spiritual master, Narad, is there. Parashar Muni, who's the Diksha Guru of Vyasdev. All these great personalities, Vashishta Muni, Asita, Devula, Vishwamitra, all these great sages are there. Sutta Goswami is also in the same company, and many demigods are also there. So as they are all hearing, no one is thinking, oh, what is this 16-year-old boy speaking about? Why is Parikshit Maharaj taking his shelter? Why is Parikshit Maharaj asking him questions? Maybe I have better answer. No, none of them are looking from that perspective because they understand that Shukdev Goswami is a self-realized soul and his external appearance does not matter. Yet at the same time, this hearing by Parikshit Maharaj is in a reflective mode. He is not just hearing. There is a saying in India, hear from one ear and take it out from another. So most important part is between those two ears. You have to meditate on it. You have to understand how can I follow these instructions so that I can make my life blissful, make my life perfect. So this is where this verse is helping us understand. And the gate of freedom, they are wide open when we are serving the saintly people. And the gate of bondage, the gate of Tamo Dwaram, they are open when we are engaged in worldly association, lust, and pride. And our meditation should be, how do we practically choose SEVA in daily life? And SEVA to the devotees of the Lord who are engaged in constantly serving the Lord. So they are engaged in a SEVA, but when we engage in their SEVA and helping in their SEVA, then Lord is more pleased than when we are directly trying to help, to do a SEVA directly to Lord Krishna. And there are so many examples in Srimad Bhagavatam as well as in Bhagavad Gita where we learn that sometimes the direct seva is not as revealing, as transforming than the indirect seva. I'll give you an example. Uddhav was sent to Vraj by Lord Krishna with a message for the gopis. So he went to Vraj. He's thinking, I'm cousin of Lord Krishna. I look very much like Lord Krishna. I wear his discarded clothes, so his remnants are all my, I take shelter. And so he looks like Lord Krishna. His dress is like Lord Krishna. His features are like Lord Krishna. And when he goes to Vraj, seeing him, Mother Yashoda and Nand Baba, they welcome him. They are, talking about Krishna. So he's surprised as how they are constantly crying and meditating about the Lordship. And then when he meets the gopis, he's completely, all his whatever remnants of ego he had, they were completely shattered away. It was not that he had come to pacify the gopis, he had come to Vraj Dham, to Vrindavan, for his transformation. So he stayed there for a few months so as to understand the bhav. And he was saying that only if I can become dust or even grass in this Vrindavan. We hear about Brahma Vimohan Leela, where Lord Brahma was bewildered when he tried to steal the cowherd boys and the cows, but realized that Lord Krishna, he expanded into these cowherd boys and cows, and nobody was affected except for me. So he said, maybe I'm not even qualified to take birth, even as a grass or a creeper in Vrindavan, maybe outside Vrindavan when these gopis leave, then maybe I'll get the dust of their lotus feet. Now, the dust of the lotus feet is sometimes people take it too literally. You have to understand that these expressions are talking about bhav. So how do we follow the instructions? So when we take shelter of a spiritual master, that, tad vidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya updekshanti taj jnanam jnaninas tattva Bhagavad Gita 4.34. Here, it is said that when we take shelter of a bona fide spiritual master, pariprashnena sevaya, so we should ask humbly the questions for our welfare, to make things clear, just like Parikshit Maharaj was asking questions, just like Arjun was asking questions, just like Yudhishthira Maharaj asked questions of Lord Krishna. So similarly, we should be looking from that perspective. And seva, and we should perform seva also. Now, Lord is sometimes more eager to reciprocate to his devotees. So again, that's what we see, that our coaches, our mentors, our seniors, and the spiritual masters, they are more eager to help their people in their care. And this is where I will give the hint that the next week class is going to be even more important because it's an extension to this class. So the verses over there are reflecting is how can we do that, right? This particular session from Gems of Srimadbhagavatam, we are trying to understand why should we do that? Why always comes before how? And what is something that's sandwiched between these two classes? Hare Krishna. So here, we are trying to understand how to serve the Mahatamas. Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna simply states in 9:13, Mahatmanas tu mampatha devim prakritim ashrayaha. So the great souls, the Mahatmas, they are under the guidance of, under the shelter of divine energy. So Yog Maya, not Mahamaya. While those who are in this material world as materialists looking for, enjoyment and caught in dualities, they are under the guidance of Mahamaya. And they're constantly suffering, they're constantly in anxiety. And Srimad Bhagavatam, we also covered 3:25-25, very important verse. Satam prasangan mama virya samvido. So in the association of devotees, discussion of Krishna act like a tonic for the heart. So that is also very important. And we know from Chaitanya Chaitamrita, sadhu sanga, sarva shastra kaya, lava mata sadhu sanga, sarva siddhiha. So here we know a beautiful story. I have said that many times in the past as well, but it's very important to understand the concept that even by properly remembering and asking could help. And here, Amrish Maharaj, he had a brother who was a very materialist person. He was a king, but engaged in, all kind of enjoyment, material enjoyment. He's constantly engaged in, drinking wine and associating with women, or those who are associating with women and so forth. So Amrish Maharaj, once he meets Devashi Narad, he said, Sage Narad, please, I would really appreciate if you could preach to my brother. Sage Narad says, sure, I'll try. So Sage Narad goes to see his brother. What is he doing? He's actually drinking wine and seeing women dancing. And Sage Narad says, I have come to give you some instructions. Your brother has sent me. So the king says, you go away right now. I don't want to see you. I don't want to be disturbed. I'm very happy in the state I am. Devashi Narad says, no, just give me 2 minutes. He's like, no, go, otherwise I will beat you up. So now Devashi Narad insists for the third time, and that's where he picks up a sword and he runs after Devashi Narad. And Lord Sage Narad is like now running in fear of his life. So he's running, And this king is running. And of course, as we see, the materialists, they really don't have much stamina, right? And as Devashinara is a transcendental spaceman, so he can run with great speed at great length, great distance. So after some time, this brother of Amrish Maharaj, the king, he starts panting. He could not breathe anymore. So he takes a pause. He's like, I'll show you what you're doing. So Devashinara says, okay, I'll leave you alone. Just one thing you should follow. So he says, what is it? He says, when you see Yamraj, at that time ask him, what is the benefit of love matra sadhu sangha? Love matra is 1/11th of a second. She says, sure. Devashinara leaves him alone and he goes back to his materialistic life. Now, sometimes people have this tendency to think that, if this is the example, we should just follow what they are saying, so we don't really have to make an endeavor. Excuse me. So here, lo behold, time comes when Yamdutas come and they drag him, for his final judgment. He's in front of Yamraj. And Chitragupt is the secretary of Yamraj. Chitra means he's got all pictures, all videos of all the secrets that we have carried out in our lives. So he's saying, this king is so bad, miss. He did not do anything good. He was engaged with, wine, women, and money, and he was just living a lustful life, except for a fact that he had some auspicious company. So maybe, he can ask, what can he get? So immediately, as soon as Chitragupt says this, the king remembers this must be the time that sage Narad came to my home, to my palace. And he remembers that sage had asked that I should ask this question, what is the benefit of love matra sadhu sangha? Now he poses this question to Yamraj, what's the benefit of love matra sadhu sangha? And Yamraj is thinking, Chitragupt is confused because none of them know. So they say, oh, let's go to Lord Brahma. They go to Lord Brahma and ask, what is the benefit of love matra sadhu sangha? They, of course, take the king because he's the one asking the question. Lord Brahma is wondering, maybe Mahadev knows. They go to Kailash Parvat and they, Lord Brahma, Indras, many demigods, along with the king and Yamraj, they are going and they're asking, and Mahadev is confused. He's like, let's ask the Lord. So they come to the Shir Sagar and asking the Lord, please tell us what's the benefit of love matra sadhu sangha. So the Lord says, who is asking the question? Send the person to me. And so the king goes, to the lordship, and this is Vaikuntha. And Lord, he looks at the king and he smiles. He says, even if I want, I cannot ask you to leave. That's the benefit, that if we follow the instructions of great saintly souls, so he followed that instruction. And that instruction helped him overcome this material life, the hellish condition that he was going to face. Now, people have this tendency that they take this example and say, you know what, I'll just ask this question and maybe I'll be relieved. But also remember that of all the cheaters, number one cheater is Lord Krishna. So you cannot cheat him or his devotees. So again, he provides them proper instructions. At the same time, we should also understand that even following a small instruction can give us great benefit. Neha bikram nashasti pratvayo na vidyate swalpamapasya dharmasya trayate bhayato bhayat. Even little amount of devotional services performed with the right mood, with the right attitude, can save us from the greatest danger in life. And that should be taken. Sometimes people talk about, oh, Ajamil, he enjoyed all his life, and at the end, Vishnudutas came to save him, and finally he went back home, back to Godhead. So this is very interesting. He was a woman hunter. He was doing all kind of robbing people, cheating people, and yet at the same time, that's the wrong example to pick, because these are instructive examples from the Shastras to help us understand that he got the second chance, and then from that point onward, he engaged in devotional service by going to Haridwar. He gave up his family, he gave up his sinful life, and he completely took to spiritual life. And in due course of time, when he was fully purified, he was able to go back home, back to Godhead. And of course, he was always calling out his son's name, Narayan, Narayan. So again, yes, calling out is very important. Yet at the same time, Lord also wants to see that the effect of that chanting is happening in our life or not. That means our character is getting transformed or not. So Srila Prabhupada, he would many times in many of the purports also, he says that by serving a pure devotee, one gets the seed of devotional service. Without the mercy of a devotee, one cannot make any progress. Brahman bhavate kaun bhagyavan jiva, Guru Krishna prasade paya, bhakti lata bij. So we are all wandering in this material universe. But by the mercy of Krishna as Chaitya Guru, as a super soul in our heart, by his mercy, we are able to associate with a living Guru, another personality. But this should not be for showcase or for the namesake. It should be to understand what is their life. So it is very important for a aspiring disciple to judge the life of the personality he is going to follow. Because whatever that personality is doing, it will automatically come into the nature of the disciple. And if that personality is not really following the instructions, then again, there is great danger. So we have to be very careful that we build one-on-one relationship with the spiritual master. And he is Tattvadarshi, so he will be able to reveal the truth to us. Or he or she. Again, it doesn't really, it's not the external covering, it is the internal. Sometimes people are more attached to people who are in sannyasi dress. But last time I checked, many of the personalities who are known as Mahajanas, they are not in sannyasi dress. Swayambhu Narado Shambhu Kumaro Kapilo Manu Prahlado Janako Bhishmo Bali Vaya Sakir Vayam. So this is again from third chapter from sixth canto, where Yamraj is saying, Swayambhur Narado Shambhu. Lord Brahma, Devashi Narad, and Lord Shiva. Kumara Kapilomanu. Kumar is also, the son of Devahuti and Kardamoni. And Manu is Swambhuva Manu. Kumar is referring to the four Kumaras, Kapil Dev and then Swambhuva Manu. Prahlad Maharaj, he is, a descendant of Diti, so he's referred to as a Daitya. Right? Janak Maharaj, father of Mother Sita. Prahlad. Janako Bhishma Pitamaha, the grandsire of Pandavas. Bali Maharaj, who is the grandson of Prahlad Maharaj. Vayasakir is Shukdev Goswami. And Vayam is myself. Who is this personality? This is none other than Yamaraj. So these are the 12 personalities who are known as Mahajanas. And of these Mahajanas, let's pay attention. Lord Brahma is, a Grahastha. Lord Shiva is a Grahastha. Janak Maharaj is a Grahastha. We hear so many other personalities. Prahlad Maharaj, he's a Grahastha. Bali Maharaj is a Grahastha. So again, there's so many Grahasthas among these personalities. So sometimes people always look for the outer covering. Oh, there is so much following of this person. Well, if you assume that a person has following of 500,000, and if their life is, say, 200 years, even then, how much time are they able to give to these people? So again, and sometimes you can have just momentary association. Srila Prabhupada did not have much interaction with his spiritual master, but every time he heard his spiritual master, he took those instructions to his heart. First time when he met Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he said, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur was helping him understand that fight for freedom is not important. He was helping him understand that it is more important to preach the message of God. He said, you are nice, gentleman, and you know how to speak in English. Why don't you, preach this message of the Lord in English to the English-speaking population? So that will bring them more closer to Krishna. Srila Prabhupada meditated on it. Once, while taking round at Shyam-Kund, Radha-Kund, he received the instruction that if you get money, print books. So he understood that instruction. And when Srila Prabhupada, he took to sannyas life, when he gave up his home, his focus was, I should, print books. So he printed the first canto of Srimadbhagavatam. And then he took this canto to West, So it's not that, yes, I have printed the book. The important was to spread the message. So he understood the purport of those instructions and he carried out accordingly. And Lord's mercy flows through his devotees. So similarly, he was able to become recipient of the mercy of the Lord by accepting the message of his spiritual master. So when our coaches, our seniors, our mentors are telling us something, we should try to follow those wholeheartedly, which means we have to make corrections. If we don't make corrections and continue to do what we were doing, we'll continue to get what we were getting, right? So the secret of advancement in spiritual life is the pleasure of the spiritual master, pleasure of the seniors, pleasure of the Mahatamas. And without serving the devotees, no one can approach the Lord. So it is also very important for us to understand that Mahatma means one who is broad-minded, right? Now, the broad-minded word has different meaning in materialistic world. Broad-minded means one who is seeing everyone with equal vision. Vidya Vinay Sampanne Brahmane Gavihastini Shuni Chavasho Pakecha Pandita Samadarshina. So one who is endowed with Vidya, with proper knowledge, Sampanne Brahmane Gavihastini sees a Brahman, a cow, Gavi, Hastini, an elephant, Shuni Chava Shopakecha, a dog and a dog eater, basically Chandal. The person sees them with equal vision. Now, what does it mean for someone to see all these personalities like equal vision? It is not that they have all become equal, no, or that they are just living entities in the body of different outer dress, as the body of a dog versus a body of a cow versus a body of a Brahman. It is in reality understanding that everyone is a spirit soul and Lord is residing as Paramatma in everyone's heart, and they are very dear to the Lord. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur as well as Srila Jiva Goswami in their writings, I just saw this common phrase and it really touched me to my heart when I was able to contemplate. Both say that all living entities are eternal servant. Jivera Surupaya Krishna Nityadas. That they are eternal servant. What's the difference? Some know it, some don't. So those who know it act accordingly. Those who don't act whimsically. So one gets to open the gate of liberation, while other is opening the gate of hellish condition. So we have to understand that life is not about eat, sleep, and be merry. Life is, especially the human form of life, it's a great gift for us to overcome the sense gratification aspects, and to be able to go back home, back to Godhead. So this is a perfect boat to cross over this material ocean. And when we engage in the service of a devotee, then we become the recipient of Lord's mercy. So I have been talking about the SEVA aspect, right? And what do we understand? So when we serve the devotees, we are serving the very heart of Krishna. So we have to take this properly, to understanding. My Guru Maharaj would say that association and service to devotees protect us from Maya more than anything else. So, if you have to be afraid of anything, then be afraid of Maya. And by serving Vaishnavas, one automatically qualifies for Krishna's mercy. Mercy was also referred to as prasad. Now, as soon as we come to hear the word prasad, we are thinking of food, right? And today is Ekadashi. What a beautiful, wonderful day where we get to engage more and more in Lord Krishna's service. So our progress is not measured in how much we chant or read alone, right? But in how much we serve devotees with humility, and serving, we already talked about this. When we are trying to serve the devotees, the serving is in two forms. Vapu Seva, Vani Seva. Vapu Seva is giving them, service to their physical being by, massaging them, by serving them, by giving them food and various facilities so that they can propagate Krishna consciousness onward. But Vani Seva is much superior. than Vapu Seva. Vani Seva is by following the instructions. So if they're asking us to do something, we do it very nicely. Sometimes a senior would ask, and the first thing the other person is thinking, who received the service is like, oh, I have become so important. I have now become very important in the eyes of such and such person. Everyone else who is following and in association with this must see to me that I'm the monitor in the class. Sometimes this kind of attitude happens. There's a mindset, that gives in. And this is what we have to be afraid of. This is the mindset that we should be very much careful, because this becomes the cause of fall down. Uddhav had gone to Vrindavan thinking that he will preach to the gopis, he will preach to Nand Baba and Yashodamai, who Lord Krishna is. But seeing their bhav, he's like, I have a lot to learn. So this is where the transformation can only happen when we see it with proper intelligence, with proper understanding. And sometimes people have this tendency to say, oh, this is our right. No, actually, to engage in devotional service is a privilege. We have to work very hard to be able to get an engagement in devotional service and to serve. Sadhu Sangha is very transforming. It transforms our heart, and it is the most powerful form of mercy, that transformation that we should be taking on seriously. Sometimes we, meet with people, and there was once a person asked me, oh, can you help me get liberation? Well, my response was, sure, I'm about to serve prasadam. Why don't you join me in serving prasadam? And then afterward, we can together wash the pots. So the first response, blurted out immediately, is, no, I meant moksha, not mopping, not cleaning, not distributing. So our response is simply, both are connected, clean first, distribute first, and liberation later. The happiness that you get is always after the act. So seva is the shortcut to liberation, to eternal happiness. Anand bhaya abhyasat. We are all wanting to be happy. But when you are looking from personal perspective, there is no happiness. It's a ground zero. Sometimes material life is negative. Ground zero is liberation, merging into Brahman. But true moksha, true liberation is happiness. That's what we want to be. Sometimes people pray to the Lord. Oh Lord, give me service. So now the next day, the person comes to the temple and the president says, clean the toilets. Well, the first response is the devotee saying, I meant Kirtan service, or Mridanga playing service, not cleaning service. Well, in that case, sometimes Lord smiles and says, I thought you said service, not preference. So real seva is doing what is needed, not what is glamorous. Sometimes this is also very important for us to learn and understand from each other, from our life's examples. People have this tendency, do something and quickly get the results, right? Once a lazy man, he went to a sadhu and he said, oh, please give me blessings. Like I was talking about the Indians, when they came to Matchless Gift Store, they opened the door, please give us some blessings. Well, in this case, the sadhu said, go and serve the devotees. And then the first response is, well, devotees, they live in very, jungle kind suburb scenarios. So they're always curious. Is my phone going to work if I'm going there? So is there Wi-Fi, in the place where I'm going to do seva? Otherwise, I can't go because I need to have connection to my phone. Well, the response would be, there is no Wi-Fi, but direct connection to Krishna. You're looking for indirect connection to the world. Well, when you can have direct connection to Krishna, what can be better than that? Sometimes even the students, they ask the teachers, Guruji, what's the quickest way to see God? Guru's response is, serve the devotees. And the student says, and what's the slowest? Well, Guru says, keep serving your ego. That's the slowest one. So ego service delays, while seva to devotees liberates. So we have to make choices. What do we want? Sometimes we want to serve the Mahatamas, right? So sometimes a devotee could say another, I want to serve Mahatamas. And the response could be the other devotee says, okay, then join me. Let's start by serving prasad to devotees. Well, that is first devotee is now saying, oh, I was hoping for a miracle mantra, not a miracle menu. So true seva often begins in the kitchen. So that's also very important. We have to look at what is needed versus what is wanted. The needs and wants, they appear same, but they have two different uh, categories. So we have to look at things from that perspective. Right? Sometimes people say, what can be practical tips? Like cook and distribute prasadam to devotees regularly. That's a very good activity to do. And it's devotional service means it's an active engagement. Offer to assist senior Vaishnavas in small and practical ways, right? And prioritize listening to devotees with respect instead of arguing. There's a tendency as soon as somebody says something, the first mind comes in and says, oh, such and such person is saying this. Why should I listen to them? That's our mind playing with us. We have to be very, very careful of the material energy. We have to prioritize listening. We have to prioritize Krishna Katha. We have to volunteer for temple cleaning or support services. Do what is needed instead of what we want to do. And if we are, well off financially, we should support projects for genuine sadhus if possible. Now, here, in this regard, we should also look at the projects where we are taking initiative in supporting sadhus. Book distribution is a very great program. Every temple keeps that particular account completely separate and is only driven by the volunteers. So 0% is spent on any other activities. 100% is spent in getting more books and distributing those books, and whatever funds comes, that's again rotated in distributing books. So every time it should be greater and greater year by year. Now, what are some of the things that we can ask ourselves? We should look at how do we currently serve the devotees in our lives? We should ask ourselves, what inner resistance do I feel when seva is not glamorous, when it is behind the scene, behind in the background? How do sadhusanga change my heart in the past? How did it change? What happened? What did I do? And what blessings can I see in that particular activity? And what is one daily act of seva I can commit to consistently? Something as regulated. We have to do some level of seva in a regulated manner. How do I know whether my service is pleasing or ego-driven? So that's also very important. Sometimes people want to take seva. I know that some people, they are giving donation to the temple so that on Sunday, when the whole afternoon, the temple is packed, they want to do, aarti in front of everyone. When it comes to a time when there is no one there, they are nowhere to be seen. And those are the times, people like us, we get the opportunity to serve the Lord and have loving exchange. So again, sometimes what is needed versus what is glamorous, that's also a big distinction. And at the same time, you would see that we have to be very, very careful in the association we keep. Sometimes we see that a person gets little recognition. They become so puffed up that they start mistreating the devotees. Harsh speech is more danger than daggers. So here, sometimes they use words which are very hurting. And we have talked about that there are 6 kinds of Vaishnava aparadha. Hanti nindanti vaidveshti Vaishwanam nanubandhanti krudyate vainad harsham dashyante yadina patatani cha. Yadi patatani cha. So again, Hanti is harming a devotee. Nindanti, blaspheming a devotee. Dveshti, becoming envious of devotees. These are all Vaishnava aparadhas. Vaishnava anuvandanti. So again, when you see a Vaishnava, you don't welcome them. That's also Vaishnava aparadha. And krudyate means again becoming angry at devotees. Sometimes there are devotees we see don't progress much because they are thinking that they have become authority and they are acting in an inappropriate way with other devotees. Well, teachers, mentors, coaches, spiritual masters, they are allowed. Parents, they are allowed. A king, or the ruler or administrator, they are allowed to become angry with the mood of correcting them. Srila Prabhupada once, he was calling for there used to be a boy outside one of the brahmacharis would sit there, and every time Srila Prabhupada would ring the bell, this brahmachari should come in so that Srila Prabhupada can ask him and give him instruction to get something. And Srila Prabhupada had been ringing the bell. So apparently the brahmachari had gone somewhere else, so he was not there. And Srila Prabhupada had another disciple go and look for this boy. And this boy came, and Srila Prabhupada chastised him so strongly that even the disciple who brought him, who was a senior disciple, Navyogendra Maharaj, he was the disciple who went and got this brahmachari, who was, and Navyogendra Maharaj, His Holiness, it says that Srila Prabhupada was so angry that even I was shaking. There was no fault of his. But the anger of Srila Prabhupada was so strong because it was for correction, for benefit of the brahmachari. So yes, a teacher may become angry or upset. And so the moment this brahmachari left, Srila Prabhupada just talked normally, in a pleasing way. At that time, Tamal Krishna Maharaj also in another incident, similar incident, where they were surprised that Srila Prabhupada at one moment was very angry, as if like, like a thunderbolt. He was as strong as a thunderbolt. But on the other hand, he was so pleasing and so nicely because he is a Mahatma. So Srila Prabhupada, he was not doing it because he was upset. He was doing it, he was showing that attitude so that he can benefit. Similarly, Lord says, Mama Smaran Yuddhacha to Arjun, that remembering me you fight, but to fight, Arjun has to be angry. So that's also the mood, but it is mood with that particular service in focus, where he was killing one after another so many warriors on the battlefield. Arjun had to be angry, but he was doing it as a service. So again, we have to look at things with proper perspective. So here we talk about, SEVA. That is the most important. Now, when we are serving the Mahatmas, what's next that comes in? We are trying to look at E, and E stands for equipoise of Mahatmas. So it is very important that Mahatmas are the ones who are completely equipoised. They are Samadarshina. So their vision is to inspire us, right? Vidya Vinay Sampanna. We already talked about this, 518, right? Pandita Samadarshina, one who is in proper knowledge, he's looking at all this. Vidya Vinay Sampanne, Brahmane Gavi Hastini, Shunicha Vashwapakecha, Pandita Samadarshina. That a person who is in proper knowledge sees as Brahman, Gavi, Hastini, a Brahman, a cow, an elephant, Shunicha Vashwapakecha, a dog and a dog eater with equal vision, understanding that they are all very dear to the Lord and Lord is residing as Paramatma. Yet at the same time, it is not that they would start praying these people. Pandit would be one who is in proper knowledge, would try to bring them closer to the Lordship. Because Lord is, they are very close to Lord's heart, but in their heart, they are not feeling that gratitude towards the Lordship. So Ajami's case shows how Mahatmas took beyond faults and see potential in redemption. So again, Lomasha Rishi, it was his blessing to Ajamil. So we have covered this story in the past, but I'll cover it here as well. So once Lomasha Rishi, he lives for such a long time that in one lifespan of Brahma, a hair from his body falls. Such long is his life. And once his body started having very strong itch, so he was feeling this strong itch. He's like, what do I do? He goes to his friend and he says, what do I do? So his friend in this case was Parvatmani, who instructs him. Like in Devashi Narada, there's also another one, but here Parvatmani says, you have become too pure. You need to eat the remnants of a sinful person. So it's like sinful person's remnants. And then the itch will go away. He's like, yes. So he says, actually, you should go to Ajamil's place. He's the most sinful person at the present time. So he goes to Ajamil's home, where his wife was a prostitute, was sitting with a baby in her lap. And he says, Bhikshande, Bhikshande. So even in that time where, the sadhus were coming to people's home, even in the most sinful person's home also, they had respect for the sadhus. So, the wife of, in this case, Ajamil, who was that prostitute he was living with, she places the child nicely and he says, yes, Sadhu Maharaj, what can I give you? And he says, I just want some remnants. It's like, no, 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 remnants are very bad. I'll get you some nice food stuff and all. She says, no, I only want Ajamil's remnants of his food stuff. She's so surprised. She's like, do you understand how sinful he is? He's like, exactly, I want that. So she goes and looks, and in Ajamil's, plate, leftovers, there was some remnants. So she brings it. So he takes it, and suddenly his itch is gone. And he's about to turn and leave, but then he realized, I took some service from these people. So they gave me something that cured my itch. I should give them something in return. So he says, what's the name of the baby? And we all understand in Kali age and other times, people put their children's name based on animals and insects and so forth. Sometimes they call their children Papu, right? Papu is short from pup. Pup means baby of a dog. You know. So similarly, people have this tendency in current times that they name their children based on animals and insects, and it goes even worse with Kali age. So he says, no, 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 don't call him that. Call him Narayan. So she says, okay. And then when Jamil comes, she tells him a sadhu visited and he said to keep her son's name as Narayan. And Jamil says, very nice. Sadhu was visiting. He gave the blessings. Let's call him Narayan. So again, this was the reason, by the mercy of the sage, that at the last moment when he saw Yamadutas, he called out Narayan, Narayan. And so he was saved because Vishnudutas came and they did not let the Yamadutas take a Jamil with them. So we see so many examples, right? And what is the tendency? Why do we see Mahatma to be Samudarshina? Because Krishna Bhakta Nishkama Ateva Shanta Bhukti Mukti Siddhi Kami Sadeva Ashanta. So the Krishna Bhakta, a devotee of the Lord, is doing selfless service. That's why the person is very peaceful. While those who are engaged in Bhukti Mukti Siddhi Kami, they are constantly disturbed. So we learn so many amazing lessons. So we should ask, do I see people with their body or by their soul? Or do I react when disrespected? Am I equipoised or agitated? How can I practice seeing Krishna in everyone daily? So again, we should be looking at, it's very easy that Mahatmas, they look at best qualities in all, yet at the same time, if they do see, their juniors not having those qualities, they want to instill them with those qualities, which is the virtue of sadhu sangha. That when we are engaged in sadhu sangha, then it enables us to go higher and higher in life. And what all these activities we are doing, SEVA, sadhu sangha, staying equipoised by taking the instructions from saintly souls, we are trying to avoid tamodwara, the dark gate, right? So those who disregard scriptures and act whimsically, they attain neither perfection nor liberation. This is Bhagavad Gita 16:23. Lord Krishna clearly says. And the association with sense enjoyment leads one again into the cycle of birth and death. So we have to be very, very careful. What do we want? So what is the object of a meditation? That's the important aspect I want to bring you back to. Dhyayate vishyan pumsa sangaste shubhajayate sanga sanjayate kama kama krodho vijayate krodha bhavati sammoha sammoha smriti brahmasat buddhinasho buddhinashat vinashyati. Well, I'll tell you a secret. I did not memorize this until I heard it from my father-in-law, these two verses. We were just walking, in the neighborhood, and he said, what we meditate on, what we think has an important impact in our lives. Dhyate vishyan pumsa sangashteshu vijayate. When we meditate on something, we develop attachment to that thing. Sanga sanjayate kamas. From this attachment comes lust. Kamat krodho vijayate. So if we do achieve it, we become puffed up, and comes a time when we become angry. And if we don't achieve it, then also we become angry. So krodha is there. Krodhat bhavati sammohat. So again, from this krodha, sammoha is more like a cloudy state, arises. Sammoha smriti brahmasat. So memory is bewildered because of this confusion. Smriti Brahmasat Buddhi Nasho. So our intelligence is lost because of this bewilderment of memory. Buddhi Nashat Vinashyati. And when the intelligence is lost, then we have taken through the path of this Tamo Dwara, the hellish condition. We have completely fallen down. So this is a very important aspect in life that we should be looking at. And so today, my dear devotees, we were looking at this verse where by the service of great saintly souls, the door of liberation are open, and these souls we have to recognize by their samadharshina, by their equipoiseness, by their peaceful behavior, yet at the same time, not looking at like our mentors from that view. We have to, when we do not have a relationship yet, then we should be looking at from that perspective, because when we develop a relationship, then there is the position. Lord Krishna, he was not really speaking much until Arjun took shelter and said, Shishyaste Swam. So again, I take your shelter means again, I'm your devotee, I'm your disciple, please instruct me. Then Krishna started chastising him heavily and telling him what he was doing wrong. So again, we have to understand that that's the responsibility of a spiritual master, because disciple by definition means one who is ready to be disciplined. So the duty of a mentor, duty of a father, duty of a teacher, duty of an administrator, duty of a spiritual master is to discipline the disciple, to discipline those ones who are dependent on them. So today we covered this acronym SEVA, serve the Mahatmas. S is for serve the Mahatmas, E is for equipoise of Mahatmas, understand who Mahatmas are and what are they engaging in the service of the Lordship. And seek Sadhu Sangha, because V is for virtues of Sadhu Sangha. The devotional service becomes spontaneous, and we should not be imitating them, not anukaran, but anusharan. We should be following their instructions and avoid tamodvara. So avoid wrong association because it drags us down. So we have to be alert to reject gossip, to reject lusty desires, or to materialistic company. So those are the important aspects. Now, sometimes people do talk us about, hey, what are some of the messages I should take from this class? Many times we give class and afterwards people come and say, oh, that was very nice class. So I generally have the tendency of asking, what is it that you like the class? They're like, I don't remember much, but it was a nice class. Well, in that case, I thought that I should include some tips for those who might be interested in remembering some things, right? Saintly company is not optional. It is essential for bhakti, something we have to understand. Seva to Mahatmas cleanses lifetime of impurities. A little service performed can save us from the greatest danger. So true saints see beyond externals, not the outer covering. They see the soul who's very dear to Paramatma. And the sadhu qualities are contagious. Catch them by association. We associate with them for improvement, not to be seen around. Even a fly is in the same company of a king. Doesn't make it a king. We have to understand from the association perspective is by following instructions, by feeling inspired by their behavior and taking to service. And one bad association can undo years of spiritual practice. So we have to always be vigilant, always be cautious. An association decides aspiration. Your company becomes your destiny. That is very important. Humility is the key to receiving blessings from sadhus, because to be able to follow instruction, you have to accept that someone is doing it for my benefit. So we have to be humble. We have to, in our practice, we have to be disciplined. And avoiding tamodwari is not isolation. It is protection of bhakti. It is to protect us. Sometimes people say, oh, if you give up all these, if you take to 4 regulative principles, what is there to live for? They do not understand that the true living starts after that only. Till then, it is just suffering in material dualities. And Sadhu Sangha turns philosophy into realization. So knowledge is something as a book, right? But when we practice it, then it becomes realization. Then it becomes something that transforms our life. And bhakti begins, matures, and culminates in seva. So devotional service is an active engagement. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, thank you for joining us. Tantra Srimadbhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Bhagavad ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnav ki jai, Nitai Go Premanande. Hari Hari Go. Hare Krishna, Devi.
Hare Krishna, everyone. Thank you very much for your time. So we are continuing with Srimad Bhagavatam gems till end of the year. So please take the opportunity to join, refresh, revisit these beautiful verses. Thank you, Prabhu. That was very insightful again to visit these lessons. So please go ahead. We can conclude the Zoom call now.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, have a wonderful week in Krishna consciousness, and may you get so much devotional association that you transform your life and be happy always. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much.
Hare